Today, we're going to be discussing my number one secret to success. Think about that. If you could learn Jonathan Little's number one secret to success, what would you do with yourself? Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell it to you soon. Before we get started, I have a few announcements. We are making my Mastering the Fundamentals series completely free for all of you. If you're new to poker, or if you don't think you're up to speed, if anything I ever talk about confuses you, check out pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. Okay? Also, I have a new book coming out soon. Actually, here it is. I have it in my hands right now. Excelling at Tough No-Limit Hold'em Games. As you can see this. It's a good book, big book, featuring content from many of the absolute best players in the world. I know you may not know these players by their first names, but they are some of the biggest winners in poker. We have John Van Fleet, Ape Styles, perhaps the biggest winner in tournament poker online. We have Bert Stevens, Giraffe Ganger. He is number one at one point. We have Alexandre Mantovani, who is named Cavallito online. He is the PKO crusher. We have Rob Tenen, who won the Sunday Million twice. And many, many more. You can check that out at pokercoaching.com/tough. It is not being shipped out quite yet. It may take a little while. But anyway, I have that. Also, I just posted a link for all of you that you can go to and watch me go through one of the chapters of the book. Louis Philippe already saw the book. He helped me edit it a bit. He said it's amazing. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. So anyway, book exists in physical form. I have it. Audiobook's going to take forever to make. As you see, it's a big book. And audio recording studios are currently closed. Believe it or not, I can't just sit here and record it like I do everything else. They demand very, very high quality. You can't have children running around screaming and yelling. So that's that. So yeah, Fundamentals course is now completely free to you. And Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em, you can get excelling or pokercoaching.com/tough. When will it be ready to ship? I don't know. I'm not the publisher. Actually, I am kind of the publisher. But I'm not in charge of when it will be shipped. If you really want to know when it will be shipped, ask D&B Poker. I don't know the answer. Will it be available on PDF/Kindle? Yes, absolutely. You'll be able to get the Kindle or the PDF version at pokercoaching.com/tough before it is available anywhere else. It'll be available there earlier. All right. So, what is Jonathan Little's number one secret to success? You all probably know it. Go ahead and type it in. Type it in the chat. What is my number one secret to success? Think about it. Foot race. JL versus Phil Hellmuth. I gotta think I have more stamina than Phil Hellmuth, even though I haven't really ran a whole lot. I've ran a marathon. I can run a 5-minute, 30-second mile. At least I could in my peak a few years ago. All of you type in very, very good things. These are not it, though. Diligence. I'm actually not all that diligent. Volume. It's pretty close. Bankroll management. Nah, although it is important. Consistency. Pretty close. My wife. Yeah, that's important. Discipline. Studying. We're getting there. Winning more pots than losing. You actually don't have to win more pots than you lose to win at poker. That's a misconception. You just need to win the big pots. Being ambitious. I don't think ambition is one of them. I don't know if I necessarily have ambition. Woo! Here it is. Keith nailed it. Work ethic. My number one secret to success is do the work. Nobody wants to do the work. I've come to learn this from teaching thousands of poker playing students. Goodness gracious, they have a hard time actually wanting to put in the time, the discipline, and the work required to succeed. Jim said, yeah, 5-minute, 30-mile, congrats. Yeah, so as a kid, I could only run like a 9-minute mile, and I realized that's really slow. And after I ran the marathon, I decided I'm tired of running far, let's run fast. And so I got to about 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and I hurt my big toe running. Apparently, I don't have a ton of cartilage in my big toes, and the doctor said, you probably shouldn't be trying to run a 5-minute mile because you're going to wear out all the cartilage, and then we'll have to do surgery on you. So I'd rather not have surgery on my big toe. So I stopped running so much, but I bet... I don't know, the problem is Phil's big. Phil Hellmuth is tall. If you watch a tall person run against a short person, it doesn't work out for the short person all that often. So perhaps Phil would still beat me in some things. That said, maybe he's in sick shape. I don't know. All right. So anyway, you have to do the work. And this applies not just to poker, but all aspects of life. And well, let's just go through some of them, right? So number one, when it comes to actually playing poker, what does do the work mean? Well, the most obvious one is you need to put in volume. You need to actually go and sit at the poker table or play online poker all day, right? You all see me when I stream on Sundays. We sit there and we put in a solid 14 to 16 hour session, right? That's a work day. That used to be what I do, or it used to be what I did every single day. When I was a young poker player, I would actually put in 16-hour days every day. I did it for 3 years. No off days. To be fair, I probably didn't do full 16-hour days. I probably did more like 14-hour days. And they were a little bit more broken up. I made a point to study for about 4 hours each day as well. So 4 hours of studying, about 10 hours of playing, and about 1 hour of resting each day, every day. Ain't no hobby. That's right. That was not a hobby. That was a full-time job, right? And I think what a lot of people want is they want to be able to play with their friends on the weekends and see immediate good results. The nice thing about putting in a lot of volume, actually playing a ton, is that inevitably you get very good feedback about your actual skill level. If you only play sporadically, you don't really get great feedback. I mean, you see this happening to me. I'm playing, 16-hour sessions, but only one time per week. And that results in me having decent swings. So far, since we've been playing, since the quarantine happened, I think I've been down like 10K, and I've been up like 30K. Currently, we're sitting up like 10K or something, right? And that's a lot of swings. It's all up and down. When you're playing tournaments, there's definitely going to be lots and lots of variance. And you have to accept that. If you're playing cash games, though, there's going to be way less variance because you're not playing relatively few big pots that significantly impact your score. Everyone wants that picture with a huge pile of cash, but few people study enough to really expect it. Everyone doesn't really want it, Mark. They think they want it, but you don't really want something in my mind unless you're willing to do the work to get it. Some of you are, some of you aren't. And if you are willing to do the work, well, inevitably, it will come to you. And if you're not willing to do the work, then it won't. I think a lot of people have unrealistic expectations about what the work is. Like I said, a lot of people think that they can just spend an hour a week studying. They can go and they can goof around with their friends a few times a week, and they think that's going to make them a great poker player. Well, that's going to make them maybe better than their friends, but that's not going to get you rich. Matt says, you've been playing free rolls, you're crushing them. Good. $33 profit on $0 invested is actually a significant profit. This is so outdated. Silent Bob thinks you don't have to do work anymore. He thinks you can just show up and get rich. You're hiring just GTO as a coach. Good idea. He is great. The work is hard to organize. Wait, what? Faraz's stream was really great, by the way. Yeah, Faraz Jaka is currently streaming for us. He just might have the biggest return on investment of anyone. He absolutely crushes it. He plays sporadically, but he just wins all the time. I play sporadically, and I don't win all the time, but he absolutely crushes it. There's an entitlement that people have in your experience. They want things without wanting to work for them. Yeah, so Mark, I agree that they want things, but they don't actually want them, because if they actually wanted them, they would do the work, right? So in my mind, what you say you do, or say you want, or what you say you do, doesn't really matter. What matters is the actions you take, right? So like, if I say I want to run a 5-minute mile, but I don't ever go and run, I didn't actually want that. Or if I say I want to learn Spanish, this has happened to me. I have wanted to learn Spanish for forever, or any language for forever. I'm a dumb American here. I only know one language, and I barely know it. And if I don't actually put in the study and the work, does that mean I actually want to learn Spanish or another language? And the answer is no, I don't actually want that. I think I want that. And if I could just like magically have it teleported to my brain, I could, but I'm not willing to do the work required to get it. And if you're not willing to do the work required to get something, you don't actually want it, you just think you want it. Kyoke says, you want it bad. Well, good, get in there and get it. You're here, you're putting in the time, and you will get there. Okay, so in poker, volume. Volume is very important because volume cures variance. The tough thing about poker, and many games that have a substantial amount of luck involved, is that you need loads and loads of volume to know if you're definitively good. This is why baseball is played with a very, very long season, because there is a ton of variance in Baseball. Turns out if you hit the ball just like a millimeter up or down, it's either out or a home run. How do you get rid of all of this variance? Well, you put in a lot of volume. And it turns out the best teams typically make the deep runs. Who'd have thought after you play however many games they play each year? Whereas if you take games where there's less variance, they don't necessarily have to play as many games, right? And like chess, for example, there's not a ton of variance in chess. You don't need to play You don't need to play a 100-game chess season to determine who's the best player between multiple teams, multiple people, right? You don't need to put in all of that volume. However, poker is a game with loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of variance. So, how do you get rid of that? How do you make it irrelevant? The answer is you put in a lot of volume. You do the work. Got your first final table in a couple years 2 nights ago. Congrats, Ben. Good job, good work. If I answer it like it's a question from your homework and your answer is highly exploitative, can you still be a reasonable answer? Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, if you have, if you're going to do the homework and you say, I'm going to make this as if I'm exploiting my opponent, sure, do whatever you want, right? That's the neat thing about poker is that there are definitively right answers to each specific question, but very rarely do you get a very, 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 very specific question that is very, very, very clearly defined, because a lot of things in poker are not very, very, very clearly defined. Okay, so number 1, put in volume. Number 2, study a ton, right? Don't just put in your time at the table. Put in your time away from the table. What percent of poker will never make it in poker, even putting in 70 hours a week? If you're putting in 70 hours a week and you're doing it intelligently, you will make it. The question is, what does make it mean? I mean, I would be shocked if you're not going to be able to make $50K a year playing poker if you're putting in actually 70 hours a week studying and working. I think a lot of people think, though, that work is just showing up and putting in volume at the table without actually doing a whole lot of study, right? And you have to make sure that you put in the study away from the table. Back when I was young, the best way to study was to read books that you hoped applied to the game that you were playing. Nowadays, books are still great. Here's a book, very applicable, assuming you're playing in games against good players. That said, we have sections in here about exploiting weaker players too. 2 sections actually, because exploiting the weaker players is very important. But books are still relevant as long as they are up to date and they discuss fundamentally sound strategy, right? And you also have things like solvers. You have things like training videos, right? All of these are very, very beneficial. Back in the day, I had books and I had one really, really bad program. Now you have really, really good programs, and you have material from the actual best players in the world, not just people who could put a sentence together. Is the book catered for tournaments or cash? This is a little bit of both. Primarily tournaments, though. But that said, a lot of stuff definitely applies to cash games. Stefan, I'm not even sure what you're asking. Can I direct you to a page for Spin and Goes? We do not have any content on Spin and Goes at pokercoaching.com. I do not suggest you actually play Spin and Goes, because Spin and Goes have a few major problems. Number 1, there's a huge amount of variance. Number 2, it's going to sound bad, but on most of the sites, I would not actually trust them to pay out appropriately. I think they will, but I would not necessarily trust them to pay out appropriately. Spin and Goes are kind of like multi-table tournaments, except for nowadays, most of the Spin and Goes have like gigantic first prizes, which means you're basically never going to hit them, or it's going to take you 20,000 games to hit them. You want to have one cash every 20,000 games, or every 10,000 games, or every 5,000 games, whatever it is. You don't want one cash every 5,000 games. That is a sure way to experience the full brunt of variance. At least in tournaments, you get min caches and whatnot. I mean, to be fair, I guess you get min caches sometimes in Spin and Goes. When I say a min cache, I mean like a 20 buy-in score or whatever. But you really only get paid when you get the one big spike. That said, they're just winner-take-all games, right? It's just, there are no payout implications. It's just pure chip PV is dollar V. So it's a winner-take-all tournament. Do we have content discussing how to play when there are no payout implications? Yeah, that's what a lot of the site is. Okay. Put in volume, study a lot in various ways, right? I think a lot of people don't realize when I was putting in my 14 hours a day, every day as a kid, that I was studying a lot, right? I was using that sit and go power tool program. Now you have programs like ICMizer, Poker Snowy, or Pio Solver, or Munker Solver. Legendum said, well, rest in peace your raid. If you sent a raid, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sorry, I don't have any updates here because we're streaming on all sorts of platforms. Maybe there's a way to still send an update. I'm not sure. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. If anyone here is new, hello, my name is Jonathan Little. I have a training site, pokercoaching.com. You can get a fundamentals course for free, pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. Check it out. 19-part series to make you sure you know how to play poker well. Are the pre-flop charts good for micro-stakes games? Yes. All right, next. My number one secret to success, which is to do the work. This one's a little bit different than the previous two that are kind of obvious. The next one is make friends/good relationships. You're going to find that if you make good friends who want the same things you do, you're all going to work together, you're going to improve each other, and you are going to get substantially better at poker and life, assuming you're all good people with good morals who are working towards good things. And I was very fortunate in my poker career. Very early, I found two very good groups of people. One, I randomly ran into Dave Benefield on the online forums. We just started chatting. He's a nice guy, right? We started talking. Next thing you know, I have a group of many of the best sit-and-go players in the world helping me. I'm helping them. We're all adding value to each other. We all became the biggest winners in the game. Some of them went on to play high-stakes cash games, some high-stakes tournaments. Most of us are still around if we wanted to be around. Some of the rest of us got rich and quit. Were you a ship at Halabala? I was a ship at Halabala. I mentioned multiple times in the book. Here comes the ship at Halabalas. As soon as that book came out, I had to buy it immediately to make sure there was nothing scandalous written about me. Fortunately, there was nothing scandalous about me. And then I was also lucky to meet Shannon Shore. Shannon Shore ended up being the best man at my wedding. We're great friends. And Shannon is great at talking with people as well and just making good connections. I still have that group of friends. That's probably my main group of friends now. Don't know why. Yeah, and again, some of them kind of got out of poker, but they're still all very good at life, very smart people, and they help me with things. What was the name of that group? It's called the Ship It Halabalas. Andrew Roble was in charge of that. So the group was Andrew Roble, Dave Benefield, Phil Galfond was in it to some extent, Tom Dwan was in it to some extent, I was in it. A bunch of people were in it. Anyway, the good old days. Oh, Peter Jetton, don't forget Peter Jetton. Peter Jetton randomly just shows up and wins all the poker money. I like Peter Jetton a lot. He made one of my favorite people. Is it worth for you to try to use Munker Solver / Pio Solver? I don't know, Mark. I tell you what, though, if you want to start running Munker simulations, send us an email. If you get good at it and know how to do it, we may have a desire for someone like that who can do that, who is not, or who is willing to help. So send us an email. That said, it's kind of tough to get Munker Solver to run exactly the right thing. The learning curve is very, very steep for it. So anyway, the way you get good friends, in my opinion, especially if you are not the most personable person, because to be fair, I'm really not the most personable person. I'm not going to say I've had to work at this, but I have definitely blossomed as I've gotten older. I used to be a relatively, I don't know if pessimistic is the right word, but I think I came off as pessimistic, even though I always just think I'm realistic. I've learned to be a little bit politer with my realism, believe it or not. And it's important to realize that if you add substantial value to people, they in turn will want to add substantial value to you, right? And what happens to a lot of people is they just want to take. They want to get from other people. I get emails all the time from people who say, hey, I played this hand. Give me your feedback. These are people I've never interacted with. These are people who are not members of my site, who are paying me for my expertise. These are just random people who want to hear about their bad beat, right? They're like, oh my God, I lost in hand. Poker's just gambling and all luck. I can't win. Like, yeah, and now you want me to read your bad beat and tell you that, what? You got unlucky and played it great? What do you want from me, right? That happens all the time. I get that like 20 times a day. A lot of people want to just get favors, right? Now, I'm all for having a bartering community where, for example, Mark wants to run me a bunch of Munker Solver simulations. Mark gets poker coaching premium for free or something like that, right? Like that's fine. I have no problem with this type of thing. But that's how a lot of relationships start to some extent, is you can help me with something, I can help you with something. Many of the poker coaching coaches, they are experts in exactly their specific form of poker, and I help them with some things, they help me with other things, and it's perfectly fine and good. Take a look at this book, right? This book is a collaboration between me and all of these people. I had to work with all of these people. We had to collaborate. We had to work together. What do I get? I get to use their content. What do they get? They get great promotion, right? And it's a trade. And it works out well. And everyone's happy with it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of give and take. That said, if you really want to get ahead, I think you need to give a whole lot more than you take. Lord says you have that book. Oh my God, so this is a big problem I'm going to have. Oh no. My wife told me this. As soon as I got these books out, my wife said, oh my God, you've made a substantial mistake. You've made a substantial mistake. You see what the mistake was? You see what the mistake is? The books look relatively similar. I actually wanted the new book to be blue. Publishers didn't want it to be blue, though. I wanted it to be blue instead of red. So I take everything that's red here and make it blue. These books look similar. If it doesn't sell very well, I'm going to make them change the title. They are different. They're definitively different. I mean, they're obviously different if you're looking at them side by side. The problem is we just had someone in chat say, you have that book, which I know clearly you don't, because literally these are the only 4 copies in existence, and I have them in my hands right now. And that is, it's not good. Is it the same content for both books? Obviously not. It's very, very different content. Very, 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 very different content. You have the second one. Yes, I know you have the second one. Nobody has the first one. You say, yes, that was an oversight. So we wanted them to make sure they were clearly in the same series, but we maybe did that a little bit too well, to where people think it's exactly the same book. Okay, so yeah, make friends, make good relationships. How do you get females to like you? Add value. Same way you get males to like you. Right? So, now when I say make friends and make relationships, part of that is not doing wrong by anyone. Some people are going to take relationships as essentially try to move your way up the chain till you get to the top, and then somehow you take massive advantage of the people at the top. This happens in the poker community all the time, where people will get loans, they'll get backed, they'll appear as if they're good, they get to the top, and then they just start trying to fleece everyone left and right. That's not what I'm trying to say here. You want to make sure that you are not screwing anyone. Ideally, everyone thinks either neutrally or well about you. You want to make sure when people interact with you, you don't leave them with the thought of this person does not care about me at all and they're trying to scam me, right? And I fear that is what actually happens to a lot of people in the poker industry based on the way they behave or the way they act or the way they portray themselves. And look, I understand no one is perfect. I understand we've all made mistakes. But at the same time, you don't have to keep making mistakes. You don't have to keep portraying yourself and the poker industry poorly. It's a touchy topic, right? Because in theory, people should be able to do what they want to do. Realize, though, that if you are known to be someone who screws people, it takes a long time to repair that image. And the thing is that in an industry built purely on trust, or a lot on trust, if you become known as someone who is untrustworthy, it's a problem. So make sure you do not screw anyone. So in my life, I interact with a lot of people. I have dealings with a lot of people. I always start things small. And if someone does not, play by the rules that I have set, I'm probably not going to deal with them anymore. For example, if we go to Las Vegas together, let's just say randomly we're going to go there, we're going to hang out, we're going to have fun, and we gamble. Let's say you're low on cash, or I'm low on cash, or someone, let's say you're low on cash and you need Jonathan Little to give you $500 for $500 Venmo. I say, sure, whatever. Basically, I'm going to trade you my cash money in my pocket for money in the future. If you don't send me that money, basically immediately, like that day or the next day, we are done. Hate to break it to you. That shows me that you are not going to be responsible with money. And to be fair, I'm a bit of a stickler on that. And if you are not responsible with money, how can I trust you to be responsible with everything else? And I have been, people have tried to scam me multiple times, as will happen if you come into money at all. And you have to make sure you are very quick to protect yourself, especially as you get more and more and more opportunities. The thing is whenever you are starting out, you kind of have to say yes to whatever opportunity comes along. And if you have a lot of opportunities, you get to start to say no to a lot of things that come along. And that is important to recognize, right? The thing is, though, is that if something is too good to be true, or if someone is just very clearly not responsible, you do not have to deal with them. There are lots and lots of people in this world, many of which can add value in various ways, and understand you do not have to deal with nonsense. You don't have to deal with nonsense. You really, really don't. So, don't do that. You can't just loan someone $500 you don't trust. We have to understand that, what is $500, right? And listen, if you're sitting there and you're playing with someone and we both just happen to be down, I don't know, $2,000, and someone needs $500 more to continue playing or whatever, it's fine. It's not a big deal. That said, obviously, if $500 is a lot to you, don't do that. I'm not going to go out and give $100,000 loans to anyone, right? My best friend asked for a $100,000 loan. Sorry, I'm not giving it to you. And that's very different, right? So the question is, what is $500? But to be fair, I want to make this very clear. A really good way to get some immediate feedback about someone's character is to do business with them in one way or the other. I was recently hanging out with two different guys, and this instance came up where we wanted to sporadically play a poker tournament. I was the only one who had cash on me, right? I gave them both the money. One of them sent me the money immediately. The other one messed around, and it took him like 5 days. And he kind of piddled around about it, right? He was kind of trying to dodge me. I'm never going to do business with that person who tried to dodge me, and I'm more than happy to do business with the person who paid me immediately. You may say, well, maybe that guy just had money on hand immediately, it was easy. Maybe, but if the other guy's going to, take forever, they should say, it's going to take me 5 days to get it to you, which would be perfectly fine. If you tell me it's going to take 5 days, I'm cool with that, whatever, right? It's not a problem to me. And basically John Blank says, all right, now he wears cement shoes. He's dead to me, right? I'll still be friendly, but I'm not going to be friends with that person. Whereas if someone is at least responsible with money, it's one good data point that lets you know that they are responsible, right? Or like, say you're going to say, I don't know, say I'm going to pay for web hosting for my website, right? Say I pay for web hosting, I pay them the money, and then they just don't get back to me for like 5 days. I paid them my money, they don't get back to me for 5 days. What does that mean? Well, it means they're not responsible, right? So I'm probably not going to be looking to do a whole lot more business with this company unless they get their act together immediately, right? For example, if the guy who took 5 days came to me, profusely apologized and said, I'm sorry, gave me a good reason, not a BS reason, gave me a good reason, and then paid me in full, they may get another chance. But usually those people think that behavior is normal, right? Some companies that drag their feet think that it's normal to take their time. You all may know that if you are a poker coaching member and you have a problem, I try to have my support team get back to you within 24 hours every time. I actually try to get them to get back to you way faster than that. But I understand if we get a load of emails, that's sometimes difficult. but I want to provide as good of service as I can. Recently, we just we moved to a different server, funny enough, because our current server was being slow, and that made some people have to reset their cookies or something like this. I don't even know what the problem was. So we've been getting a bunch of emails of people saying that they can't log into the site. We try to get back to them within a few hours, ideally immediately, and do that. And that's by design, right? I want good customer service, and I would hope that you all want good customer service as well, and I try to provide that, right? And that's just an example of, like, in my mind, having good integrity, right? Hopefully you all understand that things are not going to work properly all the time on any internet website. They're just not. And that is forgivable because, look, I'm not spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on internet support and engineering, right? But I still want to do my best to fix the problem as soon as I possibly can. So that's all. I was playing on an unlicensed, unregulated site the other day, and I was doing it on stream, and I just didn't have any buttons. I had no buttons on the screen when it was my turn. I could not fold, call, raise, or select any amount. I just couldn't do anything. I sit there, I time out, and fold my hand. Moves on, next hand I have buttons. I kind of trollingly sent a message to the chats, or to the support, and they said, sorry, sometimes that happens. Not, oh my goodness, let me give you a refund for the equity you lost. To be fair, I was going to fold anyway. I was lucky I didn't have aces. And, or we are actively working to fix this. Let us show you what we're doing. Or any apology was just, yeah, that happens. Is that good service? I don't think that's good service. That's almost like, yeah, we know we're not very good. We're the only game in town. Sorry. Someone else the other day, they were just missing a card on this site. The card just didn't exist. And look, it's forgivable in my mind. If I understand that it's not all that hard to make a poker program function properly. But it shows you're not trustworthy. Or at least shows that you are lacking at something. And if you're definitively lacking at one of the most public-facing things that you do, it makes you appear not trustworthy in every other aspect, right? You currently changed your grinding routine to how much you buy in, win or lose. If you win 3 or lose 3, you will stop. So you usually don't want to quit after you're winning, because if you're winning, that presumes the games are soft. If you're losing, then maybe quitting makes logical sense. Usually you don't want to be quitting purely because you're up, though. That's usually a very big mistake. Quitting because you're down is usually a good idea. This is the exact opposite of what a lot of people do, though. They keep playing until they're break-even or up or down infinite. And the thing is, when you're down, usually you're in games that are a little bit too tough for you. On average, right? It would make sense. If you're losing, on average, you're playing in games that are tougher than you. Obviously, there's going to be a load of variance. But on average, if you're playing in games that are too tough for you, you will lose, right? And if you're playing in games where you're winning, presumably you have an edge. So yeah, make good relationships. And this does sometimes require work. I don't necessarily always want to go to networking events, right? And you may say, what's a networking event for a poker player? Well, after the tournament is done for the day, and let's say some friends want to go out and have a drink or two. That's not really what I want to do after a day of play for the most part. I'd rather just go to my room and go to sleep. But, if those will potentially lead to good things, and that is what they want to do, and I don't mind it all that much. If it's like, let's say if I have a scale of 1 to 10, it's like -1 for me, but me being there with them is like a +5 for them or +8 for them. I'll take a -1 to give +8 to my friends, right? And I'm cool with that, right? I have no problem with that. Or if I just want to get to know someone better, right? Yes, I'd like to sleep. Yes, I'd like to take it a little bit easy. But if adding value to someone else is more important than that, you have to be essentially fluid and be willing to do that. You just tried to order your first book from me, coming from the States. Hope it makes it. Well, I hope it makes it. To be fair, our publishers are in England, so hopefully it'll be fine. Let's see. Yeah, recently someone had a bad beat jackpot, but somehow they timed out, and the site did the right thing and paid them, which was good. That was a licensed, regulated site as far as I know. are there groupies for poker players at the after events? You mean women? No. Unless they're paid. You met your best study friend on a little coffee. Shout out to Martin Grapianik from Slovakia. Nice. He's an absolute work beast. Good. That's what I like to hear. Get in there and do the work. Have you ever folded pocket aces pre-flop? In a satellite, yes. A few times. Usually you don't want to be folding aces, though. There are definitely times, like in a satellite, say there's 6 people left in the tournament and 5 people get a seat, and there's an all-in and a call in front of you, and you have a solid medium stack. Well, fold, right? Fold everything, because you guaranteed a win if you just fold. Never in a regular tournament, though. You should not fold aces in a regular tournament before the flop. It is a detrimental mistake. You do not care about min cashing or anything like that. There's literally no spot where you should fold aces. I mean, maybe you could concoct some weird spot where, let's say, chip leader has 100 big blinds, you have 50 big blinds, and everybody else has 2, and every single 2 big blind stack goes all in at the final table, and the 100 big blind stack goes all in too, and then you're sitting there with aces. You should probably fold in that weird scenario, because if you fold, you're guaranteed at least 3rd place, right? Probably, well, 2nd sometimes. Whereas if you call and you somehow lose to the big stack, even then I think you still get 3rd, right? So maybe you're still supposed to call off there. Depends on the payout structure. If you have to chop it with everybody, then obviously it becomes way worse. The exact rules matter, but no, you don't want to be folding aces in a regular tournament. Is Bet Online, BO, a regular poker site, a regulated poker site? No. Any site that operates within America and is not licensed within America is acting as an illegal gambling operation. What do we think of BO? Well, it stinks. How can you tell whether you're playing well or just getting lucky? Play on a site that allows you to use a program to track your results, like Hold a Manager. Check out pokercoaching.com/HUD. Is that right? pokercoaching.com/HUD. Is that right? Let's try to go to this website here. Yeah, go to pokercoaching.com/HUD. Download Hold a Manager. I give you step-by-step instructions. Download Hold a Manager. Download my heads-up display. And then watch the video below it explaining exactly how to install and use the heads-up display. It's all there completely for you for free for the heads-up display. You have to buy Hold a Manager. But do that. If your site doesn't allow that, I would recommend, if your actual question is how do you do this, I would recommend you play on a site that allows you to collect heads-up displays. Assuming that's your actual question. If you care about knowing whether or not you are a winning player, if you actually care about that, you must play on a site that gives you good results. And to be fair, unless you're already crushing the games, you really do want to be getting that data. ACR is not working with heads-up display on Hold Manager 3. It definitely does. I've done it. So it means there's some sort of operator error on your end. You're probably not saving the hand histories, which I discussed in that video. If you're not saving the hand histories, then there's a problem. That said, send an email to to Hold a Manager support. Is there a HUD for Poker Tracker 4? No. I mean, I don't know if the Hold a Manager one will work or not. I've always used Hold a Manager and it's fine. Anyway, watch that video. Make sure the language is set to English. I'm sure there's a bunch of little things you may be doing wrong. You can't find the discipline to get yourself to play fundamentally sound. Well, then you're doomed. If you don't have discipline, if you don't put in the work, if you do not play well, if you do not make the plays that you know are the best play, and you just do whatever you want because you feel like it, then you're gambling. And if you're gambling, nothing wrong with gambling, just don't expect to win. What is your thought process on focusing on learning short stack strategy and late registering? Is that a good idea? It's a good idea if you want to have a really tiny win rate. If you want to have a tiny potential win rate, that's a great idea. The problem is you're usually fighting something like an 8 to 10 to 12% rake, and it's hard to beat an 8 or 10 to 12% rake. Who was it? What's his name? Spacey. Gosh, I can't think of it right now. Anyway, good online player and tournament director posted an article about how if you late register in events where you're like really close to getting the money, you'll have like 15% ROI based on the based out on the fact that you just have to like win one hand and then you get it all in. Kenny Haller, there you go. Which is probably true, you have like 15% ROI. The problem though is that you are going to pay 10% rake or something. So you're paying 10% rake for 15% ROI. So you make 5%. That is the ROI you should generally expect to have. Maybe you're good so you have like 10% ROI or 12% ROI. Is it worth it to do 10% ROI in those games? Whereas if you buy in earlier or on time, you can have more like 40 or 50 or 70% ROI. Well, personally, I'd rather have 70% ROI than 20. You shouldn't have an open shove range under the gun with 20 big blinds. That should hopefully be obvious to all of you. Do not use a shove or fold strategy when you have more than about 12 big blinds. Please don't think you can download a push fold app and just blindly follow it. That's a great way to light your money on fire. That's the problem with things like study and work, is that it's really, really hard for people to know what they should actually be doing. Like right here, Zane did not read the instructions on the push fold chart. Just because a shove is profitable does not mean it is the most profitable play, right? We actually have charts coming out soon that will hopefully try to correct this, I don't even know what the right word is, miscommunication. People see something and think just because it makes money that it must be the most profitable play. But it's not the most profitable play. It is profitable, but it's not the most profitable. For example, if you get pocket aces under the gun with 1,000 big blinds, if you had a push fold chart, it would say to shove pocket aces. Okay, do it. Go all in for 1,000 big blinds and fold everything else. Obviously, that's not the right play. When you use a shove or fold chart, your options are shove or fold. But in reality, you should be doing some min raising, right? And we have charts coming out very soon for the poker coaching members. That should be released at some point in the near future. And that will be on the app as well. So please understand that you have to read the instructions, you have to watch the videos so that you know how to use the tools. If you don't use the tools properly, you're going to get the wrong result. This is why a lot of people don't really understand the value of things like game theory optimal solutions. They think that they're only good against another perfectly GTO opponent, but that's just not true. Because you can adjust the strategy your opponent uses and then get the GTO solution based on that strategy. Turns out, you'd much rather know how to play properly than not properly. Do I have a link to try Poker Snowy on my site? Elizabeth asked twice. Ooh, impatient. Check out, I don't think you get to try it. Check out jonathanlowpoker.com/pokersnowy. Min raising gets massively exploited. Not if you defend it well. Again, like that's the thought process is just straight up wrong. You're saying that this strategy that is definitively GTO gets massively exploited. You can't exploit the GTO strategy, so you're just wrong about that. Now, if you play the min raising strategy poorly, then sure. You don't believe in GTO. Well, fortunately, you don't have to believe in it. Your belief is irrelevant. A lot of people think that what they think matters, but I hate to break it to you. On a lot of things, what you think doesn't really matter at all. Especially things based around math. Turns out math is like pretty solid. And fortunately, GTO strategies are based purely on math. Can you speak about the volume of Hold'em Manager 2/3? I don't know the difference. I bought 3. I don't know the difference, though. Oh, it is a whole lot faster. It does load a whole lot faster, so that's worth something. You're really good at math. Apparently not. All right. For playing multiple Zoom tables, it has a big benefit. Sure. Math is pretty solid, yeah. Seems like you all like the idea of LOL, don't believe in GTO. Well, listen, I understand. I mean, so look, if you said things like, I don't believe in live reads, that's actually something that you could realistically say, but it's still wrong. But you could say it, right? And it is plausible. But there's actually people out there who have studied live reads, and they know that they are definitively accurate. So if they're definitively accurate based on large studies, then if there are large studies that show that something is definitively correct, that means that your thought about this, that you don't believe in it, is wrong. And that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. A lot of people hate the idea of them being wrong. whenever I posted the other day that you really should not be buying action on use stake or stake kings. A lot of people didn't like that. You want to know why? Because they're out there doing it, and they're giving away their money, and they're making bad investments over and over and over and over and over. And people don't like being told that they have made mistakes over and over and over again for a long period of time. And the tough thing is that to succeed at life, you must be willing to accept that you have done things wrong, and you must be willing to change. For example, when I was a young kid, I used to play any ace. You want to know why? Because I was playing with players in tiny stakes games who would never fold any pair. Turns out, any ace is good if you make a pair on the flop, if your opponents will literally never fold any pair. But as they got better and they started folding under pairs whenever I wanted to put all my money in, well, now any ace becomes very bad. So did I just keep playing any ace because I thought it was good? I mean, I did it 3 or 4 months consistently and just printed money. No, I didn't play any ace. I stopped, right? People who don't believe in GTO misunderstand what it is for. Or they just haven't actually looked at it. They have a very tiny definition. They haven't watched or studied what it actually is. Can you recommend a book that doesn't doesn't shy away from the maths? Modern Poker Theory by Michael Acevedo. This is the book you need. If you want to learn about GTO strategies, how to adjust from them and how to deviate, check out Modern Poker Theory by Michael Acevedo, my poker coach and coach. I learned a lot of what I know about GTO strategies from Michael. If you want a book on nonsense math, it's not really relevant. There's a book called The Mathematics of Poker, but it's not actually all that helpful, in my opinion. It's like useful, but you'd much rather just get a book that's applicable. What are the most useful methods for determining downswings over a appropriate period is poor play versus variance. Hold'em Manager. That's what I'm telling you all. Get data. Hold'em Manager will tell you what your EV big blind per 100 is. If it's something like 7 or higher, you're winning in those games almost certainly. And if you're winning at those games almost certainly, then if you're on a downswing, it doesn't matter. It's just bad luck. Now, if your EV big blind per 100 is like 2 or 0 or -6, then yeah, you're bad in those games. You're losing. Can you recommend a good book for exploitative strategy? I would recommend, well, my new one that's coming out soon, Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. Someone asked, do you need to read this book to read this book? No. These are similar books in that they are all collections of chapters. You see how we have these little lines going down the side? Each little block is a chapter by a world-class professional. And they're all kind of unrelated. I put them in a logical order, but they're all unrelated. In theory, you don't need to read. You can read all the chapters individually. It's almost like this is, well, how many? I don't know. It's almost like this is 40 20-page small books on specific topics. Look at all this work I've done for all of you. This stuff's hard, too. Collaborating's hard. So no, I'm not even going to go into it. Yeah, I will go into it. So Hoop says he's good at math, but not. I was going to say not so good at English because he says, I say you're wrong, not why are you posteriori, but that's not nice. Don't make fun of people's grammar in English. You should never make fun of people's grammar. I think that's silly. But then I guess I just kind of did. So are your older books from all irrelevant? Wait, so are all the older books irrelevant now? Depends on what they were based on, right? My first book, Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker, was written about 10 years ago. Turns out, I've been going back through it, it's very relevant. Basically, everything I wrote back then was accurate. I just didn't know why I was doing what I was doing because I did not have any game theory optimal solver back then. Turns out, through loads and loads and loads of play, I came up with roughly the right strategy, but I did not know why it was the right strategy, right? Now, I can know why it's the right strategy. You play on Ignition and Hold'em Manager doesn't work with that. Well, Joe, if you actually care about getting your results and knowing what you're doing wrong, don't play on Ignition. That's the answer. Just because you've always done something doesn't mean that you cannot change. If you are having questions about whether or not you're a winning player and you don't definitively know, well then, you're not doing the right things, right? Do you still read poker books? Yes, I read lots of books. I mean, look back here. This room is full of books. This room reeks of molding paper. Those who mock people's English only speak English, indeed. Let's see. Why is there no right way to play pocket jacks? There's a definitively right way to play pocket jacks. Have you read No Limit Hold'em for Advanced Players? Yes, that book is a good example of one of the antiquated ones. Turns out, books that are written by players who are not actually good in a game usually are not very good books. And I play with that author plenty of times, and my experience was that they were not especially great at No Limit Texas Hold'em, and turns out the content indicated that as well. Let's see. If what you're doing isn't getting what you want, you either have to change what you're doing or change what you want. That is exactly accurate. That is exactly accurate. If you want to see if you're winning, if you want to study your data, but you don't play on a site that lets you collect your data, go play somewhere else. Right? That's an easy problem. Let's see. Your Hold'em manager works on Ignition. Well, good. Glad to hear it. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't play on that site. What do you think about staking coaching sites? I think those are good if they're good. I'm an advisor for Pokar, as you see, powered by Pokar. They are a backing site that backs tiny stakes players all the way up to the top. And yeah, I like Pokar. I think they're great. If I was a young person and I didn't have any money, but I had like okay poker results, I would sign up for Pokar immediately. Why? Because they coach their students from the tiny stakes all the way up to the top. Many of these players here, well, all these players here are coaches, and many of them have been backies, right? Rob Tinian started off as a backee. He won the Sunday Million twice. Now he manages the whole company. We have Draft Danger, right? Started small, absolutely crushing it, became #1 in the world. Anyway, Pokar's great. You play online cash games? Not really. I don't think they're very profitable at the higher stakes games for basically anyone unless you're a super genius. Do you have any videos on defending the small blind? Have you been to pokercoaching.com? Go to pokercoaching.com, sign up for a premium membership, search exactly what you want. If you can't find it, send me an email. And if you don't like the content, ask for a refund and I'll give you a full refund. Is 32 big blinds or 100 good? Yes, 32 big blind 100 is good. You should be moving up. I saw a post the other day. Poker coaching coach James Romero wants to back people in small stakes games. If you have great results already, and for some reason want a coach to help you, maybe contact him. That said, if you're not good at poker, don't waste his time. He's not going to take on a random person who's not good at poker. You want to get cheap coaching. We have a few coaches that are reasonably priced at pokercoaching.com. Go to the tools section. Towards the bottom, there's a private coaching tab there. What do I think of the companies that certify the unlicensed, unregulated sites? I actually don't know. I have not. There's like no way for me to know, right? That said, I don't think ACR is like rigged or anything. I have no reason to think that ACR is doing any cheating on their end. I've never said that they are. I said that they're more likely to be doing it than a legitimate site like Party Poker or Poker Stars, right? But I don't think ACR is putting on a shoddy game. I mean, their program's garbage, and they're definitively breaking the laws, and you have to worry about bots inclusion and all that, but I don't think their random number generator is not good. That's not what I'm saying. Hopefully you all figure that out. So Jamie says for a good coach you want 150 an hour or more. You have to understand that all you really need is someone who's better than you in the games that you are playing. So imagine I'm playing 5 cent, 10 cent, and I want to learn from someone who beat 5 cent, 10 cent, and who's now playing like 25 no limit, or 50 no limit, right? So they're playing 2 to 5 times higher. I mean, that's like exactly the type of person you may want to hire, and those people may coach you for $20 an hour, $50 an hour, something like that. So I don't think you have to pay tons of money for private coaching. And I mean, even to be fair, like say you're playing 5 cent, 10 cent, I'm probably not the best person for you to hire because I'm not playing 5 cent, 10 cent. I don't know the player exploits. Ideally, you want to hire someone who's either crushing that game or who has recently crushed that game, who knows reads on all of those players, right? I discussed blocking bets and not to use them. Is that still correct? For the most part, but there are a few spots for it. And I discussed that thoroughly at pokercoaching.com. Aren't bots thought to be bad? Some are, some aren't. They're getting better. Octopi says he just signed up for Poker Coaching Premium. Excellent. Hope you enjoy it. All right, I have to go now. Hope you all have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Again, the number one secret to my success at poker, and I suppose life to some extent, I'm reasonably successful at life, is to do the work. Do good work, too. Don't do bad work. Don't do shoddy work. Do good work. Help people, add value, put in the time and volume that you need to put in order to succeed. Nothing great in life is going to fall into your lap unless you are just incredibly lucky. And there's some quote, I forget who said it. Something to the effect of the harder you work, the luckier you are. And I think that's true to some extent. And anyway, you got to put in the hard work. As Becraft says here, volume cures variance. Indeed, volume cures variance. If you do good work, good things will come in the long run. If you do bad work, if you don't do any work, well, if you do bad work, you'll get bad things. If you do nothing, you'll get nothing. And if you do good work, you'll get good things. And, you know, that's what I want for all of you. There's no workaround. It's not easy. That said, obviously, learn from other people. Do your best to study from those who've already done better than you, right? You want to make sure that you leapfrog all of the really painful steps that Jonathan Little's already been through so you don't have to go through them. You have to realize, a lot of my work, it's not like I'm some sort of genius here. I'm consolidating everything I know from all the resources I've gotten, giving it to you in a manner that is easy to consume, that helps you leapfrog all the nonsense so that you can get as good as you can as fast as you can, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to get as good as you can, as fast as you can, and it turns out if you ever want to have great success in anything, you really do have to put in the work. So please do it. If you like this today, click like, click subscribe. I'd appreciate that. Also, let me see if I still have this link. Nope, I don't. Check out pokercoaching.com/tough if you want to get mastering, what's this thing called? Excelling at tough no-limit hold'em games. There's an extract there you can read. It's a very good section. I think that one's by Chips Full, Rips Hoadley. And if you want the fundamentals, if you are relatively new to poker or you're not fully up to speed, check out pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself. I'll be back. When will I be back? Sunday. So Sunday we're going to be streaming starting at noon. We're going to stream for 2 hours publicly. Then we're going to stream the whole rest of the day for Poker Coaching members. You can become a Poker Coaching member. And if you don't like it at any time between now and a month from now, cancel. So it's kind of like it's free if you go in to sign up. So go sign up and we will be streaming the nice solid 16-hour session on Sunday. Ooh, it's going to be fun. Hopefully I get rich. Either will or I won't. Have fun. Good luck.